Hi, good evening. Welcome along to a bumper edition of the Transfer Show. We're with you for the next 3 hours. Now, not only will we deliver breaking transfer news, we've already got some just bubbling around, but we'll also keep you across the Champions League draw, as well as US Open tennis and international T20 cricket. Also coming up, the Saudi Pro League is ready to test Liverpool's resolve with a deal worth £150 million for Mohamed Salah. And with a little over 24 hours left of the window, Fulham's Paulinho is a midfielder in demand. Yeah, the Champions League draw gets underway this hour. Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal, Newcastle, Celtic all involved and waiting to find out their opponents. Straight away, breaking news for you. Dharmesh, what have you got?
I've actually forgotten. I'm going to actually tell you right now because it was just coming to us in the past few minutes. First of all, it concerns Tottenham Hotspur. We are told that while the main focus is on outgoings, and we've been speaking about potential outgoings throughout the last couple of weeks, they are interested in the Chelsea midfielder Conor Gallagher. And they are just exploring whether they're going to make a move for Conor Gallagher on deadline day. You remember earlier on in this transfer window, just to give an idea of the kind of price range that Chelsea will be looking at with regard to Gallagher, Chelsea rejected a bid in the region of £40 million from West Ham United earlier on in this transfer window. Gallagher, of course, has entered the final 2 years of his contract, but he's also seen a number of midfielders, including the likes of Moises Caicedo and Romeo Lavia, come into the team. And even though he is getting game time just now, when everyone is fit and ready, how much game time is he going to get at Chelsea?
Mark, have you got some breaking news as well?
Not yet.
Dharmesh, you've got some other breaking news there.
Yes. This has just come to us in the last few minutes as well, and that is Brentford. This is a big one, actually. A highly rated player in European football, Johan Bakayoko. Brentford have made a bid worth €40 million for the PSV Eindhoven forward. It breaks down as an initial €35 million payment, plus €5 million in performance-related add-ons. The clubs, Brentford and PSV Eindhoven, remain in talks over that deal. There is a cautious optimism that a deal can be struck. PSV Eindhoven, of course, qualify for the group stages of the Champions League, which we're going to see the draw for very, very soon. So it would be quite a bit of a coup if Brentford can prize him away from PSV Eindhoven. But potentially money can talk here. €40 million all in. Johan Bakayoko, the bid is on the table, the clubs are in talks, cautious optimism, a deal can be struck.
That is starting the transfer show with a bang. So much so, I don't think I've introduced the guests. You know Dharmesh is here, Mark McAdam here as well, and Andy Brastel is here. Now, Andy's going to also keep an eye on the Champions League draw for us. Your reaction, Mark, to Conor Gallagher, do you think that can happen?
There's been so much talk about Conor Gallagher throughout the course of this summer. He's a player I've watched play on loan at Charlton under Lee Bowyer, who spoke so highly of him. He then transitioned from League One to the Championship, played brilliantly at Swansea. You saw what he did, Crystal Palace as well, and West Brom. He's a player that has consistently performed at the very highest level at whichever club he's been at. And it surprises me that Chelsea, and particularly Mauricio Pochettino, aren't saying to the powers that be, actually, he's a player we need to build this side around. But one of the problems for Conor Gallagher at Chelsea is he is homegrown. So therefore, any money that is made on him goes straight back against FFP. Yeah. So it's 100% profit from players that come through the academy. So Chelsea's owners will be looking at this thinking, well, actually, this offsets a lot of the spending that we've done so far in this summer's window. So therefore, it makes sense for us to get rid of a player like Conor Gallagher, as much as we may rate him and like him. But actually, it makes more financial sense. And that might be the problem there that Conor Gallagher is facing. I spoke to him after the North Macedonia game at Old Trafford in the summer when he just played for England. I said to him, what are you going to do? What's the future? There's so much talk and speculation. And he said, I'm happy at Chelsea. I'm focused on Chelsea. But the fact that game time might now be limited, he may just be sat there tonight thinking, this might be my opportunity to go on and prove that I am still more than worthy of playing in the Premier League. And as much as I'd love it to be at Chelsea, it looks like potentially it might be at another club. And Tottenham are not just any club. They're a club under a new manager that play exciting football. He could remain in London. That could be the one that's ticking all the boxes. So that is definitely going to be one to monitor.
OK, so that's the first one. Andy, tell us about Bakayoko.
Well, it's clear that Brentford are looking for a certain type of player. Of course, they were in for Nico Gonzalez from Fiorentina before. Neither player or club were particularly keen on that. But they're looking for that left-footed wide player who can cut in from the right-hand side. Now, Bakayoko's been great in the Champions League qualifiers. Really good click between him and Romelu Lukaku, another player who's been on the move in recent days, of course, for Belgium. So his status has been increasing, and his status has been increasing particularly as PSV have been losing some big players over the last 12 months. Like I said, he was really important in them getting to the group stages. I mean, Brentford clearly want A, a particular player, and B, to make a real statement signing. Nico Gonzalez would have been that. He's been interested in Premier League clubs for a couple of years now. And Bakayoko would be that too, because, again, a lot of clubs have had a look at him. So if Brentford could get this over the line, if they could make him turn his back on Champions League football, and clearly he'd get a huge pay rise and he'd get to play in the Premier League, etc., that would be huge for Brentford.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's talk Manchester United then, Dharmesh. We know they're going to have an eye on the Champions League draw in just a little while, as will Andy for us. Have they got Mark Cucurella through the door?
Right, developments in the past hour now. We know Manchester United are assessing all their left-back options following those injuries to Luke Shaw and to Tyrell Malacia. They've been looking at various players. Marcos Alonso, Spinazzola from Roma as well. Cucurella looked like the primary target. They were in talks with Chelsea. It is now emerging that Manchester United are close to agreeing a deal with Tottenham for another one of their options. That's the defender Sergio Reguilon. Now, with a matter of hours left in this transfer window, we understand that Tottenham have granted Reguilon permission to travel up to Manchester to have that medical. So it must be that close that they're allowing him to do just that. The deal is a straight loan, as we expected it to be, because once Luke Shaw and Malacia are fit, it could take weeks. Who knows how long? It hasn't been given a time frame just yet. I mentioned they were in talks with Cucurella. Cucurella was actually playing the full 90 minutes for Chelsea in the EFL Cup tie last night against AFC Wimbledon, which came as a surprise to many people, because if the deal was as close as we were led to believe, why would they risk an injury to Cucurella? We can see why now, because United have switched their attentions now to Sergio Reguilon. The question is, there is maybe a factor why they have done that, gone from Cucurella to Reguilon. It's our understanding that a deal for Reguilon and the numbers involved to get Reguilon from Tottenham to Manchester United, be it the loan and the wages, would be more beneficial for Manchester United, more financially prudent for Manchester United, to enable them the best chance to strike a deal with Fiorentina for Sofian Amrabat, because they're trying to do these two deals before the end of this transfer window.
Should Man United fans be a little bit concerned that their club's after a player who's surplus to requirements at Tottenham?
I think, yeah, there'll be a lot of Manchester United fans that will be quite disappointed with the way the club has approached the window. Yes, they've gone out and spent money and they've signed players. There's been a lot of talk over the last 24, 48 hours about FFP, and that surprises you with a club the size of Manchester United, that they're having to watch what they spend, hence why the left-back option, whilst it suits them because of Luke Shaw and Malacia clearly are already there. They're going to be there for long term. It's almost just looking for a player that can just fill the void temporarily, but it would certainly concern them. I think the takeover that's been going on in the background now for in excess of 8, 9, 10 months will be a big stumbling block as to what would have been potentially possible in this summer's window. So therefore, yeah, I think there'll be a lot of Man United fans, particularly looking at the way they started the campaign and thinking, this is not the Manchester United that we were expecting. Last season we started poorly, but look at what we achieved, and there was expecting a big jump this season, not just to get into the top four, but to try and challenge those Arsenal and the Man Cities, the teams above them. So I think there will be a few worried faces in Manchester about what's going on at the moment.
You have to be realistic, though, don't you? I mean, getting players out has been really tough. That's something that Chelsea, with the help of the Saudi Pro League, for example, have done pretty well so far this summer. But for Manchester United, you look at how many times have we heard this summer that a loan move for Donny van de Beek, for example, is possible. And you look, there's a lot of players there still weighing the squad down a little bit, that you wonder what's going to happen with them. Players on big wages like Jadon Sancho, for example, Harry Maguire, who looked like he was going to go to West Ham but it's not going. And the fact that whole squad has received their Champions League associated raise, it puts a real pinch on things at Old Trafford. The thing I'd be worried about, Mike, with Reguilón is not so much, is he a player unwanted by Tottenham? Because, of course, managers change, coaches change, players don't fit anymore. It's the fact that he just hasn't played that much. He went on loan to Atletico Madrid and hardly got any game time. We know at his best, Reguilón is a very good footballer who I think would suit an Erik ten Hag side. But what sort of Reguilón are they getting?
Indeed. Dharmesh, you mentioned Sofian Amrabat a bit earlier. So what is the latest on that possible deal?
So Fiorentina are in action tonight. They've got a Conference League playoff second leg against Rapid Vienna. And we're not expecting Sofian Amrabat to be in that squad amid all of this speculation over his future. We know that Manchester United continue to try and do a deal to sign Sofian Amrabat. Fiorentina, they would prefer a permanent deal. They want to sell and make some money for Sofian Amrabat. United, as they have been throughout this transfer window, are very conscious of complying with FFP rules. They would prefer a loan. But could there be a compromise whereby there's a loan with an option that turns into an obligation so that Fiorentina are guaranteed money down the line that Fiorentina could accept? That's probably the route that Manchester United are going to go down. And I just wonder now, with this news that they're going for Reguilón instead of Cucurella, and the financial implications that that deal will have, will that give them enough leverage then to go in with Fiorentina with a better looking deal? Of course, Fiorentina will only accept any kind of deal depending on the loan fee that's going to be involved, the wages associated with that loan, and of course the option and the obligation price as well come the end of that loan deal. It is clear that Sofian Amrabat wants to go to Manchester United. There's no secret in that. He's not training with the Fiorentina first team squad. He hasn't been for the best part of a week because I think the Fiorentina think that his head's not right. His head's elsewhere. His head's at Old Trafford already. But initially we were thinking all of the noise regarding this deal was coming from the Italian side and the players' camp. But the later it's gone on in this transfer window, when Manchester United have realised we need to fill this gap in our midfield, that's when the noises have started to emanate from the Manchester United side as well, and they've been a little bit more proactive. So Manchester United really working hard now to get this deal done. He's got a year left on his contract, the option of a further year. This is going into deadline day, Mike.
It certainly is. What do you think? Is he a Man United player, Andy?
I think he can improve a lot of teams in the Premier League, and we've seen it's been a theme of the Premier League this summer, reinforcing midfields. Liverpool have been part of that. Chelsea have been part of that. I mean, Mark was talking about Conor Gallagher before. They've really needed him at points because they've just had very little bodies there. So, yeah, I think Amrabat could settle. I think you've seen he's a really big game player. We saw that in the Conference League, especially in the closing stages and in the final against West Ham, where he's the best player on the pitch. He was great at the World Cup. But he's had a very unusual career at Fiorentina. It has been quite hot and cold. He's had an up and down relationship with the club as well. Interesting thing this week as well is the leaking of an interest from Napoli to go and get him. Now, as time goes on, and as Dharmesh was saying, as Manchester United maybe get a little bit closer to the deal, I wonder if this Napoli interest has been a little overcooked just to give United the hurry up.
OK. Speaking of the hurry up, let's talk Mohamed Salah and Liverpool. Dharmesh, is this possible move to Saudi gaining momentum?
It's a very interesting time just now with so little time in the European transfer window, but still a week to go in the Saudi Pro League transfer window as well. The Saudi Pro League, they remain intent on signing Mohamed Salah for Al Ittihad. One source has told us that they are working on a deal that's worth £150 million in transfer fee. That breaks down to £100 million in an initial fee plus £50 million in performance-related add-ons. I've never heard of performance-related add-ons being that high, £50 million worth. And they're willing to pay Salah, wait for it, £1.5 million a week. £1.5 million a week. That's the Saudi side. As far as Liverpool are concerned, they are adamant he is not for sale. They have got no intention of selling Salah in this transfer window. Earlier this summer, Salah's representative, Rami Abbas, ruled out a move in this window. He said, we signed a new contract with Liverpool last summer. We wouldn't have done that if we were going to leave a year later. But I don't think anyone kind of knew the kind of figures that were going to be bandied around when the Saudi Pro League came to town. I am sure that Al Ittihad will test the stance. Even though they're getting no encouragement from Liverpool, they will test the stance and Liverpool's resolve with an offer that would make Salah the highest paid player in Saudi Arabia. He'd get more money than Ronaldo. He'd get more money than Neymar as well. And they are hoping, maybe this is the route they're taking, they're hoping that a record-breaking offer like that would almost tempt Mohamed Salah and make Salah agitate and push potentially for a move. As it stands, though,
I'm going to stop you because we've got to go to break, but we are going to talk much, much more about Mohamed Salah after it, believe me. 1.5 million a week. Wow. Now, as I say, we're going to a break. Jordan Henderson, Harry Maguire have been at the centre of transfer news for very different reasons this summer. Both, though, have made Gareth Southgate's England squad. We are going live to St George's Park next. Hi, welcome back to the Transfer Show. As I said, we're keeping you across everything that's happening tonight, and there's loads of it. The Champions League draw underway right now in the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco. Manchester City, Manchester United, Newcastle and Celtic all involved. Andy Brassell's keeping a close eye on that for us. As soon as it gets interesting, we'll, of course, let you know. Now, Jordan Henderson and Harry Maguire are both in Gareth Southgate's England squad. For different reasons, it might be said. Let's speak to our senior reporter, Rob Dorset, who spoke to the England manager this afternoon. Rob, some pretty interesting selections. Discuss.
Yeah, there always are, aren't there? Look, we shouldn't gloss over too quickly the fact that Eddie Nketiah at Arsenal and Levi Colwill at Chelsea have both had their first formal call-ups to the senior squad. Huge days for them, big moments, both well-deserved as well. But yes, really controversial that Jordan Henderson and Harry Maguire have been included in this squad. In Jordan Henderson's case, the first England squad that's been named since he went over to the Saudi Pro League, where he's played 2 games so far. And you remember all of the controversy about that move across to Saudi Arabia. Outspoken in his support of LGBTQ+ rights, as throughout his entire career, Jordan Henderson has been. And so he's been condemned by action groups from that community for taking this decision because of Saudi Arabia's human rights record and their treatment in law of homosexuality. So that was put to Gareth Southgate today, and it's a difficult topic for him. And I think you can see from his answer just how difficult he found it. He wasn't very comfortable in talking about this issue, and he said, actually, I'm a football manager rather than a politician. It was a tough question for Gareth Southgate to answer.
I don't really know why a player would receive an adverse reaction because of where he plays his football. That of course is a personal choice, but I think it's really difficult to. Yeah, I'm a bit lost really with some of the questioning because you walk in to try and talk about a squad announcement based on football decisions, and increasingly we're navigating such complex political aspects that I'm not really trained to do. So. Forgive me if I'm stumbling a little bit, but I find it really a really difficult scenario to try and get right. We'll do the best we can, and we are trying to make the decisions on any number of reasons, but I have to pick a squad based on the players that we think can get us qualified for a European Championship, and that's why we've picked the squad we have.
So that's Southgate on Henderson's inclusion. What about Harry Maguire? Remember, he hasn't kicked a ball for Manchester United so far this season. He's 4th choice for Erik ten Hag. And yet Southgate has picked him for this squad. Now, a lot of that reason is because of injuries elsewhere. Tyrone Mings, John Stones, Connor Cody, all injured. Eric Dyer at Spurs hasn't even made the bench in the opening 3 games. So Gareth Southgate said it's a case of needs must. He needs that experience in there.
With Harry Maguire, we've lost a lot of experienced players in terms of caps at centre-half. So we're giving some less experienced players the opportunity to come into the squad. But unfortunately, we look like Tyrone is out for most of the season. John Stones is out for this camp. Eric Dyer hasn't appeared in Tottenham's squad. So if I'm looking at all the players we've given caps to in the last few years, Connor Cody's also out and playing in the Championship now. So there is a space there, and I think for these 2 games it's important we have some experience in that area of the pitch. Clearly with Harry and with Calvin Phillips, it's far from ideal that they're not playing football, but that's, in certain positions we have a lot of depth, and in other positions we don't have a lot of depth.
So those are 2 players that are in, Henderson and Maguire. One player who really is surprisingly left out is Raheem Sterling. Key player for Gareth Southgate in his entire tenure as England manager. 2 player of the match performances for Chelsea already this season, 2 goals and an assist. He's absolutely flying and he's fit. And yet this is the 3rd squad on the trot that Raheem Sterling has missed now. The previous 2 because of injuries and knocks. This one, all down to the England manager deciding that he didn't want Raheem Sterling here because other players, he thinks, did well enough in the last camp to keep their place. Watch that one because that is a big story that could develop going forward. No doubt about his England future, Southgate says, but watch this space. It's a big, big story, you have to say, Mike.
It certainly is. Rob Dorset live from St George's Park and with England for the moment. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, that is the story. Just to remind you, the Champions League draw underway in the Grimaldi Forum in Monaco. Andy's keeping a close eye on it. Early stages, until we get a tie, not much to bring you. We'll keep a very close eye on that. But so much going on. Remember, we're going to talk more about Mohamed Salah. Dharmesh was saying 1.5 million pounds a week for him. So that's coming up. So much coming up here on Sky Sports News. We'll keep you right up to date with all the transfer news. City